Boom! Welcome back to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey. And back again for another week, we are talking about some scary movies. And today, I'm very excited because we have a very special guest. A lot of you people know him. This guy's really known for throwing a lot of great movie reviews out there. And for anybody who has done movie reviews, I'm not saying it's a lot of work in the sense because we do enjoy these things, but man, it's a lot of movies you got to watch and it's a lot of opinions. So when you really get a solid audience, that's really cool. And to have the privilege to have one of those people on, super excited. Boys and girls, this week we have Chuck, your movie guy. I'm sure a lot of you guys follow him on TikTok. I guarantee you recognize his face. Chuck's in the building. Chuck, what is happening? How you feeling?
What's going on, my man? It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm honored that you asked. Like I said, I follow your channel and I love your stuff. So whenever I'm a fan, it's easy for me to say yes to come on. So I'm really just happy to be here and bullshit about horror movies.
Me too, man. Me too. Truthfully, I don't collaborate as much as I should and reach out to people. But, as I was saying, there's a select group of people that actually are really working hard at reviewing movies all the time. And dude, your work is unmatched. You are out here reviewing a whole bunch of movies. Because I consider myself to be a movie guy. And there's things you've thrown at me where I'm like, I've never heard of that, but I have to watch that. And really, I think that's what everybody's looking for in a movie guy. So can't say thank you enough for being here. And you get to hang out with some of my weirdos, some of my weird audience, some of the sloppy whores, if you will. I I feel privileged to be able to talk about movies
I
week
love
in and
that.
week.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, and on the show we get to do a little bit more of a deep dive. I love being able to do stuff on TikTok, but every once in a while I kind of want to be long-winded on some stuff. And not saying that, I pretty much say whatever I want about a film on TikTok, but you're cautious of how many cuss words I'm gonna slip in here, etc., etc. So sometimes it's nice to be like, that was fucking crazy.
Right.
Um, this week we're talking about a movie that it's brand new. It's still in theaters, but I think that's what's gonna make it so special to do an episode on it. I'm not, I haven't been paid by this movie, so I'm not here. It's not a plug for the movie. We're not
Yeah.
advocating in that kind of sense. I was just thoroughly impressed with the movie, and we're talking about Ryan Coogler's Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. Now, Chuck, I'm sure, did you see this close to opening night, or did you see it beforehand, or?
I seen it opening weekend
Oh, okay.
because I didn't go see it on opening night because they didn't have they only had a 4 o'clock IMAX showing opening night. And
Okay.
I wanted to see it on IMAX, so I went to see it the next day. So the second day it came out, I seen it because I know people that seen it early and said if you can get IMAX, go to IMAX. So I held out for the IMAX, which I'm really glad that I did that.
Dude, I don't know about you, but I'm not. I'm just going to be very straightforward. I'm not I love Jordan Peele's comedy. I haven't really made that. I haven't crossed the bridge with his horror movies yet. I'm not. They're not bad movies by any sense, but I've just seen a lot of horror, so they don't feel ultra original to me, and I don't know. There are kinds of movies that just kind of, I don't want to say prey on race, but they do a little bit. And if it's organic, I don't care about it, but that's just, how I feel a little bit about his movies. It just feels like it pushes it a little too far. And truthfully, I love all cultures of movies, any kind of way, truthfully. And we talk about it a lot on the show. But Jordan Peele, I don't know. It just feels, I get a misrepresentation from him because on a show, he very much is very fun, hilarious. But in his movies, they just kind of miss me a little bit.
Mhm.
But I'm also not a big elevated horror fan. But I would just kind of rate them like middle of the road movies. I've heard a lot of people try to compare this movie to that, or kind of put that in that same kind of category, right? However you may see it. Some people love that style of movie, and that's totally fine. No right or wrong
Yeah.
answers when it comes to opinions on movies. But I went in with a kind of lens thinking that that was the style of movie this was going to be. And I
Mhm.
had my wig blown off for the fact that
Oh yeah.
this was nothing like I think I saw maybe you do a video like how you said people were trying to say this movie was quote unquote woke, things of that nature. I didn't think that at all. This was a
No, I mean,
great horror flick.
yeah, me neither. I usually I try to keep any kind of politics or anything out of my content or like my hardcore beliefs because that's just going down a road I don't want to go down to. But
Yeah,
that particular thing was it took away from the beauty of what I feel this film is. You know what I mean? Because when I went into it, I didn't really know. Like I knew that it was a vampire movie. I knew who made it and I knew who was in it, but I didn't really know anything about it. So like being almost blind and getting what I got, I would never compare this to a Jordan Peele movie. It's nothing like anything that he does. The only reason people were saying that is because Jordan Peele and Ryan Coogler are both black. That's the only reason people were saying that. Like, but they're
I
coming from
agree.
two different filmmaking perspectives that are light years apart from each other. Like they're not even in the same. That would be saying like fucking David Lynch and Steven Spielberg. You know what I mean? Or and that they're light years apart for how they make film. So
Right.
I think it's almost like why can't people just let Ryan Coogler be Ryan Coogler? Like he doesn't need to live under Jordan Peele's fucking shadow because Jordan Peele didn't reinvent the wheel. But that's a conversation for another day because I like Peele, but
Yeah,
that's me.
I don't necessarily hate him. I would just say as a visionary, maybe it was a lot of the fact too that I felt like it was a very sensitive time in the world. So it was like, it's a dicey subject, but it was
Yeah.
also kind of one of the deals where he really got pushed as like a horror avant-garde director. I'm like, let's pump the fucking brakes here a little bit. Like he's good, but I'm not putting him on Mount Rushmore yet. And there was a big push he did. He got permission to do the Twilight Zone and all these
Yeah.
things, and I'm like, maybe it was just the push of that.
I don't think, but I don't even think it, just real quick to touch on it. I don't think it was necessarily the push because I agree with what you're saying. But Jordan Peele, this is why I like Jordan Peele because like I did a deep dive. Jordan Peele did the comedy and he's funny,
Very.
but nobody would ever let him make a movie. He's been wanting to make a horror movie for 20 years and nobody would ever greenlight it because they're like, you're so he like played the game in that industry because nobody was going to give $15 million to a black director to make this, you
Right.
know, important movie. So he played the game. So whenever he got the money, he flipped the script on and was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to send a message out with Get Out.
Yeah.
But they didn't expect that. So, like, I kind of respect the fact of how he got to where he got to because at least he wasn't like nepotism or anything like that. You know what I mean? So,
100%. And as a filmmaker, the dude makes some beautiful looking movies.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny that whatsoever. Like I just maybe it was the push, whatever. It just they weren't all the way for me, but I just for some reason I would say like even this movie in particular, Sinners, I would say is a black film that deals with black things, but it does nothing's pushed, nothing. It's just a cool movie, dude. It's an awesome movie, and
It's as much of a black film as Schindler's List is a Jewish film.
100%, dude,
Yeah,
100%.
it's just telling a story. That's all.
Yeah, so there's
Mhm.
nothing pushy in this movie, and all of that like once people get it, like say the people that are hesitant to see it and they think they're just looking at it under that lens, right? Once you get them in the door, what they're going to see is some creepy ass vampires that I was saying I did a little review for this and I was saying like with Nosferatu coming out and Salem's Lot and this every era of vampires. Like if I were to say to you like the Victorian vampires, 90s, think Interview with a Vampire, think of like you're like, oh, got it. Like I know what kind. Or if I said no, I want you to think late 90s vampires like Blade, Sunglasses, Gangrel, Edge and Christian. You know what I mean? The Brood. I
Right.
want you to think of that style. There's many different. I feel like a new one's starting. I feel like there's this kind of look like the Glick Boy in Salem's Lot, this like weird They can fly and they're suspended, glowing eyes. There's a different kind of vampire being pushed out within the last couple months, and I
That's
really
very
like it.
fair. Yeah, I do too. I actually even thought that the vampires that I would compare these vampires to, if I had to compare them to vampires,
Uh-huh.
they were a little similar to like 30 Days a Night vampires to me.
Dude.
Is how I kind of took them. You know what I mean? Like, because they were, they had an agenda. They were smart. They were, they fucking moved quick and they were creepy. Except their eyes had that red in them instead of just being black eyed. You know what I mean? But that's the only thing that it reminded me of. But I felt they were real original vampires.
That's what I'm signing up for. I want to see new style of creatures, and that's what it delivered, dude. That's what it delivered. And I guess I'll give like a brief synopsis if people haven't seen it. Michael B. Jordan. Well, first off, this is 1930s Mississippi. Michael B. Jordan. He's actually playing two different characters in the movie. He's playing twins, obviously, and these two twins may or may not have. It's been hinted at throughout the movie that they got in a little bit of trouble in Chicago, and they came back home to Mississippi. They're profitable guys. They want to make some money, so they're going to throw a big party, right? A blues party. Have musicians and girls and liquor, and obviously it's the 30s, so it's a black only party, but they want to throw something fun for the people that they love. So that's what they do, and they start
Right.
playing great music. It looks like an awesome party. Until a group of people who were actually once Klansmen at one point, but these just crazy ass looking vampires show up and they want to play music with them. And they could just tell, like, nah, these people ain't right. We're not trusting them. Well, they come back and they start taking out the party one by one. Eventually, because obviously everyone knows the rules of a vampire, you have to be invited in. And they weren't for a while, but eventually they do, and shit gets real. And even though I kind of give a rundown there, that's pretty spoiler free. I don't think it's going to ruin anything for the watch there. I think you guys, this is
No.
it's so visually pleasing to me that I find it to be like, I don't know. This was kind of a well written, but also, man, I was just engaged. And in this day and age where you have a phone in hand, or if we're so used to being distracted, and this movie
It's the first it's the first movie that I've seen in a theater in a very long time. There wasn't a phone, there wasn't a peep from anybody, nothing. Like every single person in that theater was completely locked in and engrossed to what was happening. And like cuz I just went to see Until Dawn, and I mean
yeah.
people
What was that about?
talk through it was fucking terrible. I mean, it's based on a video game, but not on a video game, and it's five teenagers that are stuck into a time loop. I mean, that's literally what it is, and they have to make it through the night. Like the premise is cool because it's a time loop, which I love. But
Yeah.
every like one night's a slasher, the next night's a creature, the next night is some spiritual entity. So they have to go through these stages of dealing with these different quote unquote horror tropes to stay alive till the morning. And that's very much what the game is about, but it's nothing like the same. Like it's just real, it's a shitty Blumhouse movie. I mean, it's not well done.
Mm.
Sinners is Sinners is a film. Like I would say it's like not a movie, like it's a film. And I know that's like a douchey ass thing to say, but like that's what it
It,
felt like. Like it's a
it's
well put together film.
it no, that makes perfect sense because some movies are a fun time. Like
Yeah, it's just a fucking movie. Yeah.
if we're talking about Sleepaway Camp, that's a
Yeah.
movie. It's a flick. But there are
Uh,
Shawshank Redemption's a film, dude. Like
yeah,
there's certain
agreed.
movies that are just films.
Yep, I agree.
So no, it's just a separate tier. It's so well put together, and it's a simple concept, but there's a lot of depth in here, and I love movies, and I think that's why slashers, even though sometimes the characters are corny, multiple character developments is just fun for an audience. People love to see
Yes.
multiple characters, and this movie gives you so many fun characters.
I think everybody in the film was fantastic. Like from the two Michael B. Jordans, Delroy Lindo is Delta Slim was fantastic.
Yes.
Cornbread, the field worker was fantastic.
What
Um,
was that guy in? Wasn't he in CSI Miami?
he was in CS. He was in. He's one of those dudes that's like once you pull up his IMDb, you're like, holy shit, I've seen this guy in 3,000 things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are actors like that, dude, where you're like, and that's what's hard for me to watch movies. I try not to be that way, but I can't help it, dude. If I
I'm the
slightly
same.
know where that guy is from and I don't recognize it, I can't
It'll
watch the
bother
movie.
me.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
I don't know what kind of fucking spectrum that puts me on, but I'm on it, because
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck.
I do that. Because I won't miss, I'll miss the plot of the movie wondering, like, I know, who the fuck is that guy? Like, I do the same shit.
But then, like, once you know, it almost makes you like the movie more. Like, I obviously everybody's gonna know, like, oh, there's Johnny Depp, there's Brad Pitt, but when you got those randos in movies and you're like, oh
Mhm.
shit, and then oh hell, he's with Barry Pepper, oh, and then he's with this guy, you're like, oh, okay, I like this movie.
Right. Yeah, I do that a lot. I love Barry Pepper, by the way.
Dude, super underrated. Uh,
Dude, Barry Pepper's so fucking underrated. It's ridiculous.
Grossly underrated, and he's done some of my favorite movies. Green Mile obviously was really good. Saving Private Ryan. 61.
It's
It's a baseball movie. Love it.
it's fantastic. If you love Barry Pepper, there's a movie that Tommy Lee Jones directed. It's called The Three Burials of Elycatus Mastratus. It's a weird ass movie about this friendship, but Barry Pepper's in it and he plays the villain, and it's fucking fantastic.
Dude, him as a villain?
He's yes, he's like this sheriff villain because Tommy Lee Jones makes a pact with his friend that if he dies, that he'll have him buried on his ancient burial ground, like that, because that's where their souls go to rest.
Okay, okay.
And he ends up getting killed in a town. So Tommy Lee Jones goes to retrieve him, but Barry Pepper tries to prevent that. So he ends up burying him like a couple of different times and then going back and stealing him to get him back to his place. It's a wild ass movie, but it's fucking brilliant. It's
What?
so fucking good.
That sounds good, dude. And Tommy Lee Jones. I still like him too. He was
Fucking love
just
Tommy Lee.
he was such a
You're
cool part of the
un-Amer- you're, un-
90s.
you're fucking un-American if you don't like Tommy Lee Jones.
Dude, he did The Fugitive, dude. The Fugitive, The Client.
U.S. Marshals was good. Everything he's in is good.
Dude, 100%. I don't know how, dude. A fucking moth just flew in here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some Green Mile shit going on in here. I don't know what's
There you
happening.
go.
Oh my goodness. Well, he
I
flew
think
somewhere. Whatever.
I think I think everybody in Sinners did such a good job that there was never like the thing that because it's a long movie, a little over 2 hours, but I think that everybody brought some kind of weight and levity to the story. So like when it wasn't just focused on the Michael B. Jordan characters, because you have Sammy the young kid,
Yeah.
very important, and Haley Steinfeld was very important, and his lover was very there. Like every single person was like so intricately well written that it pieced it together. So it was never boring. Like I heard people say like, "Oh, this movie is so long and drawn out and boring." I'm like,
You're
we didn't
crazy.
see this. Yeah, we didn't see the fucking same movie. That's for sure.
No, dude, they're crazy because development was not only great, everyone delivered, but it wasn't too long because sometimes movies have that problem where it's like, all right, dude, we're gonna take way too long, way too much character development, and it's like I love that, but this is also still horror, so we need to keep the
Right.
ball rolling. And a classic horror movie rule is at the very beginning, you give us a little brief glance of something fucking crazy. Like we don't know what
Right.
that is, but you get just like somebody being murdered, killed, or the priest story. You get something, and then you give all the slow parts, the slow character to build. But we're in because we saw what happened. But sometimes
Right.
movies don't do that, and
Right.
if you do that, you need to get the ball rolling. I need to see something happen. Either that, or I need some like Godfather level of
You're
dialogue
right.
in here.
Dialogue. Yeah. Right. No, I agree.
But the dialogue's honestly pretty good too for a horror movie about vampires. And I guess there are a lot of serious horror movies about vampires, so I can't say that with even 30 Days a Night was really well, I thought. But it does. It gives me that kind of vibe. I get a little bit of Lawless, weirdly.
Yeah.
It's just kind of that time
The
frame of,
Tom the Tom Hardy movie.
yeah,
I
yeah.
fucking love that movie. Yeah.
just the kind of brothers sticking together, you know, kind of in a time frame where alcohol, I think, was illegal. I don't remember what year they said it was again, but
Well, there's so many people too that were like comparing it to like From Dusk Till Dawn, and like I understand why they're saying that. I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
But the movie that it compares to for me that nobody has really mentioned that much is it's like a vampire version of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah, I get a little bit of that too. Yeah,
Yes,
that makes
it had a
perfect
lot.
sense.
Yeah, it had a lot of similarities to like kind of just like the journey that those guys went on, but like in a vampire horror type kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, I love that movie. What a great fucking movie.
Fucking great movie.
We're in a tight spot.
Yeah, it's such a fucking good movie.
No, that makes perfect sense. I see that. I got a little bit of life too with Eddie Murphy and
Oh
Martin
yeah.
Lawrence because there's humor in this too. There's a lot. I laughed quite a bit in this movie too. It's you do indeed like the characters, so there is that part of damn it, they're killing people I like, which makes a movie better in my opinion. If you shy away
I
from
agree.
punches and you start getting all Walking Dead with it after a while, then it's like, all right, now I have to make monumental kills. It's a tough spot. You gotta just regularly dispose of people, and I sometimes like when horror movies give you that at the end where it's like, okay, everything's okay, and then they're like, ah,
Right.
psych, and
Yeah,
then
right.
you're like,
I
ah,
love that.
I do too.
That's that's my speed. Like I like things that flip it up on their head that you don't expect. You know what I mean? And I'm a big fan of I don't love the Hollywood ending. Like, you know, I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather just like The Mist and Eden Lake and you know, I like things that like really fucking just stick it to you and they don't give you what you expect. That's what's good. And Sinners didn't give me anything I expected because I didn't know what to expect.
Same. I kind of went in really blind, right? Well, just almost with a little preconceived notion that it might be slow. I thought that's what I'm thinking. This isn't going to be slow or action packed. Way wrong. Way
Oh yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, way wrong.
And then
And the first hour does enough character building like in a good way that by the time it gets there, it doesn't feel long. You know what I mean? Like, because you're invested. You want to know what happens to these two brothers, and they're going to open up this juke joint, and they're going to do this and that, and then all of a sudden you get this big party, and then it's like fucking vampires. Let's go.
yeah, it's the only comparison that I could, if you can give it from the Dusk Till Dawn, is that the first half of the movie, even not being crazy scary, is still like a great movie. You would watch that movie play out if it was just that way. Like if that just continued as like an old school, like like
Like
the
even if there was no vampires and they just made that movie, absolutely,
you would you people would still watch that.
yeah,
And I feel like From
absolutely.
Dusk Till Dawn was that same way. Like that at the beginning when they just kidnapped the family, so to speak. Like people would watch that progress. But the
If it was
fact
just like a Gecko Brothers Rampage, I would 100% signed up and watched that movie. It might have been the better movie, honestly.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I love From Dusk Till Dawn, but like that first half is wicked.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
It
good.
is so good. It is.
Um, Even though I know it's not Tarantino directing it, you can clearly tell he had a stab with a lot of the dialogue. So it's,
Uh, he was standing there the whole time.
yeah, he's
A
not
hundred,
quiet.
yeah, 100%. He was standing there the whole time.
But I liked the fact that not only did this keep you entertained like that, but there's just something to be said about it's the Lost Boys effect, right? Not the Twilight effect, because Twilight, okay, everybody watched them. They're not horrible movies, but they weren't cool for guys. Like they weren't cool.
That's right. That's
Uh,
right.
but like say something like the Lost Boys, your girlfriend at whatever time she's down to watch the Lost Boys. There's beautiful people throughout the whole movie, but they're
Oh yeah.
also they're badass. I
Right.
This is a movie full of beautiful badass people. They're all beautiful. They're all badass. Like there's something for everyone to really enjoy. I like sometimes unconventional characters in movies, but sometimes there's just big movies where you're like, yeah, we want a bunch of beautiful people in this movie. All right, Scream.
Right.
Scream's the same way. Um,
Yeah.
oh, someone has a crush on somebody in Scream, guy or girl. Like, you don't say. You
Yeah,
don't
right,
say.
right, right,
Like,
right, right.
um,
So does America. Yeah.
yeah, right. So yeah, everyone does. So that's just the way it works, and you'll draw a lot of people just because of that. It's exciting in that way. I mean, it's a sexual movie. There's some sex in it, so it's exciting in that kind of way. It's not like hardcore over the top with the sex, but not necessarily something I would bring a middle schooler to either. I would bring mine, but just at the same time, I you gotta kind of ease your way in if kids aren't into horror. And I don't know the rules for everybody's house, but
Yeah. I
there's
took my kid to see it, and he
yeah,
loved it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I usually take my kids to see stuff too, but it's hard. Not sometimes people give you a look, and it's like I don't. First off, I don't give a shit. But in context, my kids have grown up with this kind of room in their home their whole life. They've been at
Yeah.
conventions. They just understand. But I think one of the coolest things you can do to show kids, let's say a kid watches Sinners, he's scared. Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go home and watch the behind the scenes footage of how they did the makeup and how they did this and how they did
Right,
that.
right,
And like,
right.
isn't that cool that they made someone look so scary that it fucking made you, scared at nighttime? That's just a guy
Right.
with, well, look at him putting his makeup on. You're like, oh, okay. That's what
No,
kind of did it for me.
I do the same thing. I have one kid that's into horror, one that's not, and the one that is, that's the same thing that I did. But we've done. I mean, we started Poltergeist in the Gate, but I mean, he's seen RoboCop and Predator. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
like, there's no like RoboCop is fucking brutal, but it's amazing. Like so. But they're straight A students. They're good kids. They have morals and values. So it's like it's the parenting. I mean, like it ain't nothing worse than what they hear if they get on and play fucking Call of Duty, which is probably worse.
I agree, and I feel no type of way when people say that because same like I was a bad fucking kid. Now I had a different situation growing up,
Right.
but so I've tried to give my kids the things that maybe I haven't,
So no,
but
I'm exactly the same.
but as I give them some freedom. I mean, I'm tough on them in some ways, like you say with the morals and the values, how you act outside the house, but they're just not bad like I was, man. They're great students. People like
Same.
them, and it's like, okay. I almost don't want to rock the boat where you're like, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, same. Like sometimes, like I'll stare at them and I'm like, I can't even believe these kids came from my genes because they're like nothing like I was. I was a bastard when I was a kid, and
Oh
like
yeah.
like I could leave them home for 15 hours and they won't even like touch the oven or wonder how it works. Like they're good kids. I don't know. I'm blessed. I feel very blessed with my kids.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And I love getting kids into horror because it is that weird thing too, where it's like, oh, you're letting your kids watch horror movies and wrestling, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of who they're for. Like, because I'm gonna tell you something. If you didn't watch wrestling as a kid, you're probably not gonna get into it as an adult, and that's okay. But same with horror, same with Star Wars, same with things like if it didn't get you as a kid, you're
Just
probably
like baseball, you either are raised on baseball or you don't play baseball. That's all there is to it.
it's just something that it's for kids, and I never understood when people try. Now, obviously, there's certain films you wouldn't show, but I would say a most majority of rated R slashers, your run of the mill horror movies, a high schooler's going to be just fine. Probably a middle schooler's going to be just fine.
Yeah. I no, I agree 100%. I mean, there's way worse things kids could be doing. I mean? Like there's 12-year-old kids fucking doing heroin in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh,
we'll sit here with Freddy Krueger. We're good. Leave us alone.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So I think this movie, if you've got a kid like Chuck and I have, or somebody that's kind of acclimated, they should have no problems with Sinners. But it's exciting. It's fun. It's a new style of movie with a new style of vampires, so to speak. They just look a little different to me, and I dig it. I like it. And there's also that Lost Boys aspect of there's hot vampires, and guys, girls, everyone loves that. All right, like that's just the way it is, dude. When that girl came back as a vampire, there's a part of you where you're like, well, shit, I probably would, and that's
Yeah.
I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a simple guy.
I would love to. I would love to come to the dark side. Sure.
You know what? You got me.
Yep. Done. Yeah.
I'm in. Now that I've
Would, it
thought about it.
wouldn't have been a hard choice. That's for sure.
Right, and I'm sure if a
Yeah.
vampire Michael B. Jordan is like trying to fucking Nosferatu some girl, and she's
Yeah.
probably a vampire, dude. Like that's
She's
just
just gonna say, "What side of the neck do you want?" That's it.
that's it. Uh, Kiefer Sutherland, same way, dude. Like there's just like
Right.
that. Vampires have always had just a sexiness to them, and I think it delivers on that too because. I love how Nosferatu went straight creepy old dead vampire, but you almost have to do that or you need a Christopher Lee. You need a Gary
Right.
Oldman. You need somebody that's just, as the kids would say, risen it the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here to fuck everybody's girl. And
Right.
that's what Dracula and vampires are supposed to, they have that look.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a wide variety of Hollywood actors who would do a fair job at being a vampire, but you really do got to have a swagger to you, man. You really do.
I mean, all the great vampires are fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kiefer Sutherland, cool as fuck. You know, why can't I think of his name? The guy that played the Danny Houston, that played the vampire in 30 Days a Night, fucking cool as fuck. Blade, cool as fuck.
Oh yeah, dude. Everybody wanted to be Blade, man. He changed vampires and how they look too, because eventually it became the black shades and the coats and the like at a
But
rave.
the coolest vampire, in my opinion, of all time, is Bill Paxton.
Oh, what a great answer, dude. What was
I
Near
think I,
Dark?
I Severin, yeah, I think he's the coolest fucking vampire to ever be put on screen. I think that's the best. That's my opinion. I love the Lost Boys, but Near Dark is fucking special. Like I just love that movie more than I could love a movie. It's so fucking good.
The only shitty thing that happened to Near Dark is that it was released right at the same time as Lost Boys, so it just overshadowed it a bit. Because
Mhm.
if that would have came out in '88 opposed to '87, I think it would be talked about in the same reverence.
Absolutely.
And people that have seen it do talk about it like that. But I'm still surprised how many horror people that where you're like, dude, what? First off, if you haven't seen Near Dark or Frailty, you're missing out on the Paxton, baby.
That's right. Both bangers too. And I know so many people are like, what the fuck is Near Dark? They don't even know what it is. And I'm just like,
It's like a Western, dude.
so fucking good.
Dude, Bill Paxton was just great. And I loved him. Rest in peace. Did you hear that story that Rob Lowe told about him? Rob, he said him and James Cameron, they obviously they were buddies, and it was right around the time after making Titanic, and they had come up with an agreement that they were going to have lunch on the deck of the Titanic. So they were going to take that little fucking submarine thing down and just like kind of land on the deck, and they were going to eat lunch. And that was their plan because they're rich and they can do things like that.
They can do whatever the fuck they want, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and James Cameron's just crazy, dude. That like
Yeah.
So they do that and they eat their lunch, and obviously their submarine is connected to like a bigger boat. There's a bigger boat up on the top of the water waiting for them. So they get up after their lunch and they're like, hell yeah. And like after an event like that, you expect a lot of woo and things like that, and nobody was doing that. Everybody was very somber, and they were like, yo, what's going on? 9/11 just happened. So when people say, where were you during 9/11? Bill Paxton was on the Titanic.
Wow.
Right?
Jeez.
That's only a Bill Paxton story, bro. Like that's only like that adds to the lore of him so much. And whether Rob Lowe said it, so whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I believe Rob Lowe. I trust his eyes.
I believe Rob Lowe. I love Rob Lowe as well, but yeah, that's a good fucking story.
Dude, nuts. And then Frailty was great too. Not a vampire movie, but Frailty was incredible. I don't know if you've seen that one or enjoy that one, but
I think Frailty's a low key masterpiece.
And he directed it. Like,
yeah, that's one of the most criminally underrated horror movies to exist. Like that's a good ass movie. And I'll even push it a little further. It's not a movie. Frailty is a film. It's like the Shawshank Redemption of fucking horror movies. It's a good ass movie.
If yeah, and it kind of falls because there was a lot of those, and it's still there's still remnants of those, and Saul falls into those. But we'll say, because I'm 36, so I'm assuming you're my age or similar. When we grew up, there was a lot of cop shows. I'm not talking 80s Lethal Weapon movies. I'm talking like think of the CSI shows, think of really Blue Lights, think of Law and Order, like The Dark, and those really mashed into horror films and kind of like thriller. If you think of like Saws and those kind of movies, and
The Shield, NYPD Blue.
oh yeah, they just blended. Even like current, more recent movies like *Malignant* and things like that. I really feel like they just kind of like they morph into that. And I'm not huge into cop shows and cop movies, but that Frailty kind of fit in there, and I loved it. It's like one of my favorite examples of that style of movie of like who done it, because it's the reach of like I say, Silence of the Lambs. Everyone loves Silence of like your mom at people's grandmas, people's whoever you can watch Silence of the Lambs with. Yeah, it's kind of vulgar in moments, but it's such a big footprint of audience. That
Absolutely.
that some
But
movie,
rare movies can't. There's so many movies that can't do that. You know what I mean? Like to reach that demographic of so many different people. And I think Frailty, and I got into a huge argument a couple months ago about this. Have you seen True Detective season 1
I don't
with
know. I don't.
McConaughey with Woody Harrelson and McConaughey?
No.
True Detective season 1 is probably one of the best seasons of television ever made. Like it's about a murder thing and it's police procedural, and it's every episode is at least a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. Like it's a flawless show.
Okay.
That show feels a lot like Frailty to me. Like I feel like when they made that show, I feel like they directly pulled so many elements out of Frailty because people sleep on it and they're not going to be like, "Oh, this happened in Frailty," because they're not familiar with it. You know what I mean? And if you watch it, you'll as soon there's like 4 things I can think of right now. You're gonna be like, Frailty is gonna pop right into your fucking head. But it don't take away from that it's good. But like I know that they took stuff from that movie because it's such a good fucking movie.
You know what? And I'm not trying to sound too smart here, but I think there's just an old school, or our generation and people a little bit older than us. We love an old school whodunit because at the roots of our scary core, we all watch Scooby Doo. I think it's all trailing back to that, because if you think of the Scream movies or really just any slasher movie, you're like, who the fuck's the killer? There's so many red herrings, and then you're like, oh, I think it's him, and everybody wants to be right, and it's so satisfying when you are, but a lot of times your first watch, you're wrong. You're like, oh,
Absolutely.
they killed Billy. The boyfriend's dead. He's not. He's gone now. And you're like, oh shit, he's back. You didn't predict that. No one predicted that. And like, you'll never be able to see it for the first time again. But those kind of movies really touch in a way. And even back to Sinners, I think not knowing the unpredictability. I think Coogler deserves a lot of credit for that. I love a good horror trope. Don't get me wrong. It makes you feel smarter when I'm Chuck the movie guy, and I just put on your horror movie, and you're like, oh, he's going to pop out. He's got a mask. Oh, it was his sister. Oh, and if you're right, there is a part of that as long as the movie is okay and stimulating, you feel good about it. Audiences like that. Mm-hmm. But you also kind of, sometimes you get strapped into such a good movie, and you're like, I don't know where this motherfucker's going, but I'm in this car.
I agree. And I approach movies like I want to be wrong. Like
yeah.
The more wrong I am, the better the movie is. Like I want to be wrong. I don't want to know it. Like if I guess it, I hate when I guess it. It's like the worst feeling because it ruins it. You know what I mean? But like when they hit you with that fucking, doozy out of left field, and you're like, holy fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then you get people online like, oh yeah, I seen that coming. Get the fuck out of here. No, you didn't. You know what I mean? You're full of shit.
That drives me bananas, and you're like, come on, guys. Like every once in a while, like, you'll believe somebody. Like, if I'm watching, sometimes you'll watch a show or somebody smart, and they see the Game of Thrones pitch, or they'll see what's happening, and you're like, oh, wow, you're smart. You got this going on. But sometimes there's just that mind fuck. And I love when movies do that. And even though, once again, it is a on paper a simple vampire movie, there's so many complexities of it. It's got a really rich story, but they didn't shy away from gore. If I think that's also what made the Lost Boys great, is that, like, especially transformation scene of, like, now you know who you are, or now you know who we are, now you know who you are, and they fucked all those guys up around the fire, because that was scary. That was, for kids, was a little intense, and you kind of
Oh,
need those.
absolutely.
You need
Hmm.
that, because what are we afraid of? If not,
Hmm.
it's just Robert Pattinson.
Right.
Definitely a good amount of gore, definitely pretty creepy, so I I I'm just impressed, man. I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah.
almost. Go ahead.
The fact of like how, because the just it being like on a base level of vampire movie, but how, and this is back full circle to where we started at, how he put in a deeper message. Because, obviously, like since Night of the Living Dead, horror has had a political agenda. Like it's just the way that it is. There is an undertone to it. There's a message to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Night of the Living Dead's not about zombies. It's about fucking civil rights. Like that's what that movie's about. And, Romero did that in every fucking movie that he did. That's a whole nother podcast. But the way that Coogler did it with such expertise to not be preachy or pushy about what he was trying to convey through a vampire film,
Mm-hmm.
I felt was done absolutely brilliant. It wasn't like,
It was
you
just the
know,
truth of what that
or
time was. It was just the
it,
truth.
it was the absolute truth of what happened. Even the vampire, Jack O'Connell was the vampire. He him even being Irish and wanting to relate to the music and everything, like that was like a lot of saying, like when they went through like the potato famine and like how Irish people were fucking eradicated, and like then he found freedom through this vampire thing, and he low key didn't he wanted to hurt him, but he wanted to share the freedom that he found because he knew they were people that suffered. And the way
Yeah,
that that was like all conveyed, I was like, I thought it was real. It just made it like cooler to me.
I agree, dude. I love that. I love the context with everything is subtlety. I don't.
Hmm.
I watch every kind of movie. I just don't. No audience wants to be treated like they're dumb and they don't
Right,
understand something. And
right,
100% agree. Kugler assassinates that. He just met. Nothing was wrong in his movie. Nothing was, there was no hyperbole. It wasn't exaggerated. This is just
right.
what it was. And like you couldn't make the movie realistic unless it was that. Like, right? Like you can't. That's just not what it is. Even like you're watching The Sandlot and you're like, this is the '60s. I don't know if they had a black pitcher. I don't know. Like they might have,
Right,
but I don't know
right,
if all those kids hung out. Like I don't know. I want
right,
them to. I want them to be
right.
buddies. But in times
Not
and
sure.
and I don't know. I think a lot of those people that are like, I'm not going to watch a woke movie. Well, you like Django, didn't you? You fucking like The Green Mile, didn't you? I
Yeah,
think
right.
this falls in that kind of category of just a good, accurate movie. Nah, I didn't feel
I
yelled at.
think that, and I think that Coogler knew that. Like, I think that, I mean, it made $78 million its first weekend. It crushed the second weekend. Like, it's resonating with people. So, like, he was able to do it without outcasting anybody to not want to see it. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what happened to Get Out. Like, as soon as people seen Get Out, people were like, oh, I'm not going to go see this, because it brings out the true killers in anybody. You know what I mean? People
Mm-hmm.
are like, oh, I'm not going to fucking see that. You know what I mean? So he took it a step further and was able to interweave it and just tell a good story and make a good fucking movie.
He's a great director. I'm going to be excited for any really new projects because I liked Black Panther. What was the
He
what else did he do?
Fruitville Station was really good, and he did Wakanda Forever, which I didn't like as much as Black Panther.
Yeah.
But he's doing the X Files now.
Oh no shit.
He's
Uh,
bringing back. That's what he's bringing back, the X Files, and they're talking about bringing back Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. So I'm all in for that. Sure, let him do it. Just
Run it.
give him 50 million and let him fucking do it. I'm all in. I'll watch it.
And one reason I watched an interview with them because I'll watch an interview with the director. I do this kind of like, you remember when Dave Chappelle did a bit about politicians? He's like, I don't listen to shit they talk or like what their policies are. I just try to judge the person, see if I like them. I do that
Right.
with directors sometimes, and it's the reason I don't really like Ari Aster. You remember the movie
I don't either.
You remember the movie Wedding Crashers?
Yeah.
You remember the creepy kid Todd that did the paintings? Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's who he reminds me of. Even in interviews, he's like just got this I'm smart. And you're like, dude,
He's,
you probably are, but like shut the fuck up. you
I
know?
I think Ari Aster is full of himself and pretentious.
Your movie doesn't have to be this long, dude. They're beautiful shots, but God bless. Like
Yeah, like that. Especially like the one that gets me is the going through the dollhouse thing in Hereditary, where he takes the camera through the fucking house, and it's just like you could just feel he's like fucking holding his dick while that camera's going through. They're like, look, yeah, 100, and it bugs the fuck out of me. So I'm like, fuck that. I don't like that movie. Yeah.
yeah, dude. Like I'm not denying they're beautiful shots, but for the fucking sake of a movie, and even like with the gripes I've had, like even with like a Peel or an Astor for myself, I've still paid for all these guys' movies. I've sat and watched all of them in theaters. I support horror, so it's like I say it like through like
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. Yeah.
of the lens of watching, and so I try to be.
I don't
Very
like
open.
any of I don't like any of Ari Aster's movies, but night one when Eddington comes out, I'm gonna go fucking see it because I want to fucking see it. It's his new movie. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go see it because
Yeah,
I don't know. It looks interesting to me.
I want to like it, and I'm
I
going
want.
to go in with open arms.
I hope I like it. He
Yeah,
can redeem himself. I don't know. We'll see.
but like Coogler, I was watching an interview with him, and like it was like the opposite of pretension. Like I felt like you could hang out with dude. Like he was just a
Oh
cool.
yeah.
He was super cool, and I was like, oh, he's a young guy. I think he's like 38 or somewhere in that
Yeah.
range. Like he's a younger guy.
Hmm.
And that's what I look to be. I mean, I really do. I would love to be in that position to see somebody there, man. I'm not a hater, man. I really, if you're doing a damn thing, you're doing a damn thing. And that's what he's doing, dude. I hope we see a fucking tear from him. I hope he
No, I
becomes like
agree.
a Ty West, whoever, just a name, a fucking Eli Roth, a Rob Zombie, somebody that gives us a tear of horror movies with its own feel. If I said Rob
Yeah.
Zombie horror movie, you know what color, what feel, what that,
Absolutely.
I said, hey, Ty West horror flip film. It's one of those. You're like, oh, okay. You've already got a
Mhm.
picture painted, and I want to get to know more of this guy because I mean, of course, I've seen the other movies, but they weren't like horror. It's like, bro,
No, not at all.
you got some of these. You got some more of these in you. It's like Dave Chappelle again. That meme, like, you got some more horror.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But no, but I'll tell you what, he's not gonna have a hard time anybody giving him 100 or 200 million dollars to make a movie. I can tell you that because it did so good. So he's gonna get whatever he wants from whoever wants to get it and have his choices. So I'm curious to see outside of the X Files if he does go back to the horror genre. I would love that. I guess it's we'll see. But Sinners was I loved it.
Do you think they'll do a sequel?
I hope they don't, but I'll go see it.
Yeah, same.
I
So
mean, that would be like making a Shawshank Redemption sequel. We don't need that. You know what I mean? Just leave it. It was good enough. Leave it alone. Like you don't have to think of it. I mean, there's stories to be told there. Now, if they spun it off into like some kind of like prequel series of the Irish vampire and his upbringing and did like an 8 episode series or something, I would watch that, but not like a direct sequel movie.
gotcha. Yeah, and I think you're right in that. I think that just leave that alone. Anything else is going to water it down. Just leave it
Yep.
perfect. Because I do look at it that way, but really, we can't move that far just yet. All right? We're getting to the end of the episode, but we can't do any episode without doing a rating. So,
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Uh-oh.
all right. Now we're here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. I'm very excited to have Chuck here with us. And I was, explaining a little bit earlier, the one thing I really do enjoy about the rating is that it's not just hey, give me a number off the top of your head, because it's almost hard to do that because there's many different elements of what makes a horror movie a good horror movie. And in my opinion, I broke it down into a couple subcategories. So we're going to start off And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start off with a subcategory, and I just want you to give me a number out of 3. Okay, so it's going to be a 0 out of 3, a 3 out of 3, anywhere in between there, and then we'll talk about it. And we'll try to come up with an agreement between both of us. That's kind of how Mark and I like to do it.
3 being the strongest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
right.
we'll
go.
start off the first subcategory with casting. How do you think the casting was in Sinners?
A 3.
I do too, bro. I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, dude. These are Hollywood actors, and in horror, we get that sometimes, but not always.
It's really rare to see a movie that doesn't have one weak character, even if they only said 2 things. Like even like Cornbread's wife, she said 2 sentences, and she was perfect.
Awesome. Yeah. Everyone well thought out.
Absolutely.
And I can't even say any of these characters are like tropey characters. They're fun, but they're not like your typical horror movie trope guys. But they were all well thought out. So I think we're gonna have to go with a 3 out of 3 and casting. So I was glad that was such an, because I was thinking that like all day. I'm like, man, I hope that like I don't come like in I'm never the kind of guy that really props a movie up if I don't like it, and I always try to like watch a movie and then give it a night before I give it I don't want to hype it just because I'm the victim of the now. I really want to think on it.
Right.
That casting, man, I don't think you can get much better.
Spot on.
So the next category that we get into is kills. In a horror movie, you don't have to have a lot of kills. If you have too many kills, it becomes a silly movie. If you don't have enough, it could become too artistic. And if there's no kills, and I'm not fearing for my own life, then, what are we even doing here? It's just kind of a thriller maybe. So usually to get a 3 out of 3, I need a lot of variety, and I need one kill that's like one of those ones you'll never forget. I need that in a violent nature kill. I need that one where you're like, oh yeah, that's forever. A Hostel is a 3 out of 3. There's like the Achilles scene. So if Chuck is thinking on his scale of 0 to 3, no right or wrong answers, where do the kills lie in Sinners?
I would put it at 2, and the reason I would put it at 2 is because it doesn't have that one significant memorable kill that you're going to remember forever. And I think it does just enough, and I think 1 would be doing it in Injustice, because there was some, they were just cool enough. There was just enough gore. Like, it just rode the middle of like, this is enough. So like, I think that's a 2.
I do too, because there's what we call too, like almost like TV show deaths, like even some of the old Friday the 13th where you'll just get the blood splatter on the wall, you don't see it, off-screen deaths. There were a lot of on-screen deaths in this movie, and there was a lot of blood, and there was they didn't shy away, so that definitely puts it towards the heavier half. So I agree with the 2 out of 3. Wasn't necessarily that one kind of kill, but this isn't that kind of movie. In my opinion. So it's perfect. 2 out of 3 there. So far we are at 5 out of 10, and we're gonna move to the final category, which is fear. And fear, I kind of put this in a few different ways. If it's an old movie, I do try to account for it, because obviously Halloween 4 isn't that scary today, but I do try to account a little bit what it was in '88, But this is a current movie. And not only do I try to incorporate in the theater or while you're watching it, were you scared, were you in for the ride, but is it something that leaves with you? Do you run up the stairs quicker for a week? Are you not taking the trash out alone? Those kind of things. So I would say this is probably the hardest category to rank or to rate, but we'll do our best here. And also, I want you to think in the lens, too, because, like, obviously, you're probably pretty desensitized to horror. So I'm thinking just on a grand scale of a general audience. Everybody from teenage girls to dads watching a movie at home in their lazy boy.
For just to be as honest as I could be, it's a 1. Because I don't think it's that scary. You know what I mean? Like, there's some frightening moments. I would say 1. I would say 1 because there were some jumpy things and some things that like, oh, you go like that, but nothing that like I'm running up the nothing that like really hit that core of fear.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't supposed to be that.
No.
So like I get it. You know what I mean? Like they weren't, that isn't what they were going for. But yeah, if we're doing 1 to 3, it's a 1.
And if you go to the theater and watch this, you're gonna get the reaction from, the teenage girls. You're gonna, and my wife, bless her heart, she is not into any of this. Now she entertains it, but I'm telling you, bro, like if I watch a horror movie with my wife, like there's like a babe, where are you going? For a week. She's not built for this. But I'll go
Right.
upstairs and she'll be watching some like. And they shoved the 4-year-old's body in a fucking trash can, and like, and that shit's real. And I'm like, what the hell? I don't like that. That ruined my month. But
Yeah.
like Jeepers Creepers is her all-time like I can't, and I just find that so funny. But dude, she's not built for it, but she's a great gauge for this category on some movies where I'm like, where does that? Let's watch it with my wife. I'll figure it out.
Right. That's awesome.
But I do agree with you with the 1 out of 3. I think people are going to be engaged, and it's so suspenseful that you are in it. And it also doesn't pull its punches with who they kill. And I don't like that in movies where they don't kill who they should kill always. Sometimes you need to kill the guy I'm not expecting. And they did. They did.
Yeah. I think everybody should be on the table in every movie. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, just do it.
So that's going to be a 1 there. So what's that put us at? A 6 out of 10 so far. So the last category for a half a point each is going to be rewatchability. Is this a movie that is a one and done, or is this something that you could see yourself watching again if it, you were at home and you saw it on? What do you think?
If I could have watched it again already, I would have. Like, I can't wait till it comes. Like, it'll come to digital for $25, and I'll pay it to watch it again, because I know there's so much stuff and so many layers in there that you don't get on first watch that it makes it worth going back and revisiting. So 100, I think it has. I don't want to say a ton of rewatchability, but it has rewatchability. It's definitely not a one and done for me.
Agree. So that yeah, it deserves the point there. In my opinion, it deserves the point. So what's that? So our grand total there is 7 out of 10 for Sinners, and really, this is a gauge for horror. This isn't a gauge of saying whether a movie is good or bad, just out of horror movie components. But for a new movie, for a newish director, if you will, into horror, giving us a 7 out of 10 right off the bat, that's pretty damn impressive. And I like that score. I really do. 7 out of 10 is good. I really do.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Yep, I like that.
But I took a lot of other things into account, like not strictly horror, because it's like just a good fucking movie. So like there's a lot of elements. Like it's a hard movie to rate because it's just not just. It's a real different ass type kind of horror movie. You know what I
mean? And as a movie as a whole, I agree with that. Like it could be a 4.5 out of 5. And I don't know, because I get a lot of people like asking what kids are good or what movies are good for kids, so I always try to touch on that. And then some people just really want to find a true horror flick, so I don't know, it's a good barometer, if you will.
I love this. No, I actually you're the first person I've ever sat down with that had any kind of like scale that was like, okay, I love that actually, because it's like, oh, this is true horror. So like whenever like, because if you were reading an article and then it broke it down like that, you'd be like, oh, well, this one has a 3 here, so I'm going to be scared. And then that would build your integrity as a journalist or whatever up, because it's like, okay, I was really scared, so this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. So I really like your skill, actually.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's just, I don't know, it's fun, and it leaves no stone unturned, and I don't know, it's fun. And I like, too, that it's usually not just me doing it myself. I like doing it with a couple people, kind of like a jury committee there, trying to figure out an answer. So, dude, this is incredible. And before, I'm very pumped and very excited and beyond thankful that you showed up to do this, take time out of your day to talk about, especially a new horror movie. So what I want you to leave these fine folks with is just, where you're at. If somebody doesn't know Chuck, your movie guy, where can they find you? What's your style? What's your bag? What's your thing? What can they expect from Chuck?
I do I do extreme horror.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of found footage because I love found footage. I do a lot of true crime too because I love the babies stuck in the garbage bags too because I'm fucking sick, I guess. I don't know. But no, I just love horror movies. Like I love movies that evoke emotions out of me, and horror does it like no other genre. So you can get a variety of those things, but I do lean a lot found footage, extreme horror. And you can find me just by putting Chuck the Movie Guy into any search engine on any platform, like it comes up now. So you don't need to type in anything specific. Just Chuck the Movie Guy, and I'll pop up. You can
Fuck.
Google me. I'm Googleable.
Google me. Hell
Yeah,
yes, dude.
I'm
And,
good. I never thought in my life I'd be Googleable.
and you know, if I have any, I mean, if I have any credit amongst the listeners as a movie person, I'm telling you, this guy not only does great movie reviews on movies that I've seen, but he throws a lot out there that maybe you're not hip to. In this day and age, there's not movie stores anymore. There aren't cool older brothers renting VHSs and DVDs like, hey, you have to check this out. So, you know, you kind of have become one of those figures because you can have something really cool, but if it's a B picture or a random picture, it's going to get lost in the sea of content. It's not going to be Tiger King or whatever the trending fucking top 10 on Netflix is.
Right.
So it becomes kind of difficult. So I think you're kind of a pioneer, if you will, for kind of finding these movies. And instant follow, and I think you guys should do the same. And man, all of us sloppy horror people, we really thank you for showing up, man.
Listen, it was an absolute honor to chop it up. I'll come back anytime if you want to do it again. Like I had a blast, and this was great. Like I'm happy to be here. It's like I'm happy to do it.
Hell yes, man. Well, boys and girls, that's going to be it for this week. I appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. And, you know, make sure that you guys are doing the obvious, you know, following on YouTube. If you guys are looking for bonus content, I try to put episodes up early on Patreon and do bonus episodes and some stuff you wouldn't get for that everybody else doesn't have access to. So make sure you guys are checking that out. And we thank you so much. I'm going to be back again next week talking some more horror, maybe with another special guest. So you guys keep your ear to the track. And once again, I love yous.